Hello friends and foes. I'm going to show you how I make videos for this TCG channel on YouTube. This channel is 13 days old. I have 141 subscribers and 1,000 watch hours already, completely organically. So I'm growing quickly. If I stay at this current rate, then I believe I will achieve the monetization thresholds before the new requirements kick in February. So you may have already heard monetization requirements are increasing to 8,000 watch hours. So I'm going to try to hit that 4,000 watch hours within the next couple weeks. I'm going to really just grind out as many videos as I can and try to get that watch time up. And once I hit the 4,000 watch hours, I'm going to run YouTube promotions to get the rest of the subscribers. And that will be an investment in locking down YouTube monetization before those platform requirements change. So how I'm doing it, how I make these videos, we're going to dive into it. I have a pretty simple setup. The camera that I'm recording this on and that I record pretty much all of my videos on so far, actually all of them, is a DJI Osmo Action 4. It's like a cheap $200 knockoff GoPro, basically. I love it. I bought it for initially for my other business, and I've ended up using it more for this business recently. It's been a great investment. I use pretty basic settings. I'm not a master of the setup, so this right now is set to like 2.7K, 30 frames per second, flat view, so it de-warps the fisheye lens. I don't think it does all of that perfectly, but it's decent. And it's got like a low light augmentation or something on it. Lighting, I've just got the light in this room from the ceiling fan, and then this like $30 work light that I bought back when I was a handyman. And that's literally my whole lighting setup. And then when I don't have the window right behind me, I'll open this window too to get some natural light in here. And that's how I do the lighting on all the videos. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't work well, but it has done the trick so far. Audio is this DJI Mic 2. I'm wearing it on my chest, and I haven't really done much configuration on it. I just sync it up to the camera and hit record. That's why I went with the DJI platform, because I wanted a microphone and a camera that had the same manufacturer to decrease the likelihood that I had tech issues, because nothing is more frustrating to me than having my audio not work when I shoot a whole video. So I would rather use this platform, even if it has some flaws in the opinion of big YouTube personalities and video creators and stuff. I like this because it reduces the amount of problems I have, and it helps me grind faster to build the body of work that I need to get monetization, which I want to put out 100 videos within the next couple weeks so that I can get 4,000 watch hours quickly. Other setup stuff, I think that's about it. That's lights, camera, audio. Yeah, that's the essentials for capturing. As far as how I do my editing, this is a MacBook Pro M1. So this is the old MacBook. I've done a lot, I've done hundreds of hours of video editing for this channel and for other stuff that I've done, and for marketing clients and stuff like that, on my old MacBook Air M1, which I still use, and actually my assistant now uses that computer to do some video editing and some maintenance and stuff like that. So the old MacBooks with the M1 chip, they absolutely are sufficient to do lightweight video editing. I did hit a bottleneck in memory because I'm using the budget option of these MacBooks. So I have a hub that I plug into the USB port, and then I plug an external hard drive into that. This is a 1 terabyte hard drive. And so I do all of my file storage on the external hard drive, and then I pull the files into my video editing software from the hard drive, and then I export stuff to the hard drive. It keeps the onboard memory clean. And yeah, so the MacBook, I bought this MacBook this MacBook Pro used literally like 2 weeks ago. Like most of the first round of editing that I did for the channel was all on the MacBook Air. But the more recent videos have been all on this MacBook Pro. I bought this, like I said, about 2 weeks ago for $600, used, refurbished from a local store. It's still got like a sticker mark on the back and some scratches on the back and stuff like that, but it works great. And the hub connector thing here, I want to say, I think it was kind of expensive. It was probably like 50 bucks or something, maybe even more, but it's been well worth it. I've used it for all sorts of stuff. The hard drive, I think, was like $100. So if right now you could buy all this. If you wanted this editing setup, then you'd need $200 for the camera, $150 for the mic, $30 for the light. So we'll just round that up to $400 for lights, camera, and audio. Then $600 for a used computer, so it's $1,000. And then $200 for some external storage if you wanted it, so that's $1,200. And then I pay for some software subscriptions, which I'll go into. I have Canva, which I've been using since 2015. So I've spent a lot of money on it, I guess, over the years, but I think the base plan is like $15 a month. I've got a Teams version, so I pay more. I don't know what I pay for it, but it's one of the best tools that I have ever paid for. And then CapCut. A lot of people dump on CapCut. I've made probably 200 videos in CapCut, probably more than that. Hundreds. I've made hundreds of videos in CapCut. It serves me pretty well, and it serves the businesses pretty well that I make videos for. So I use CapCut Pro, which is like 20 bucks a month. For certain video types, I use either GarageBand or Logic Pro X to do some light compression and equalization on the audio. But since I bought this mic, I've pretty much stopped doing that because it slows me down and I don't think it increases the video performance that much for this format. And then I use Claude, so I'll show you how I do that too. So I pay for the pro version of Claude or whatever it is, the consumer version, like 20 bucks a month or 30 bucks a month or whatever. And I use that to generate descriptions, chapters, and sometimes for title tweaking and stuff. So let's dive in here. So that means your startup costs, if you wanted to run this system, are going to be $1,200 on hardware and then 60 bucks a month in software subscriptions, something like that. So it might sound like a lot at first, but you can also just start with what you have. You can use a phone for your video and it would actually look better than this camera. I just have a lot of trouble getting my files off of my iPhone for editing. So that's why I switched to a camera. And you can probably get a cheaper mic, especially if you're using a phone and you're not filming stuff far away from you, and you can have a wired mic going into the phone. What I've done in the past is film on the phone with a $20 mic plugged into the phone. So these are ways that you can drive your costs down. You can use the computer you already have, so you don't have to buy one, and you may not need the external storage stuff. So that's where that can knock off $800. And that brings you down to $400 to get started if you buy a camera. If you don't buy a camera, then and you use your phone instead, then and you buy the cheaper microphone to just plug straight in for like 20 bucks or 30 bucks, that knocks off a lot of money too. So you can get started practically for free just with the software costs, which is 60 bucks a month. And you may not even need the paid version depending on how you do your editing. I've yapped enough on that stuff. Let's dive in. I'm going to record my screen. I set up my workflow where I have everything in storage on my external hard drive. So what I do is I'll pull the memory card out of the camera. I'll put it into this hub, and I'll plug the SD card into the hub, and then I'll transfer straight from that SD card to the external hard drive. That takes a couple minutes. And then I do the rest of the work off the external hard drive. And then you can see in here, I set up two windows, and I put 2 tabs in the one window. And I have all of my organization set up where I can go into the hard drive, and the hard drive is broken out between, I have a downloads folder on the hard drive that stuff lands in that helps me stay organized on the hard drive, and then all the businesses that I store files on this hard drive for are broken out into their respective folders. Some of these are clients for my marketing services, some of these are stuff that I own, and some are just creative projects that I'm working on the side. And so then inside of Dead King Collection, I have the collector side of the business and the collector content, and then I have the business side, the business operations, which you're watching right now. So I separate those out, and I have separate assets for each. And so I have an assets folder, and I've got the separate logo and channel banners and stuff like that, and essential files for editing. So this is the end track that I've been putting in my recent videos. I made this music several years ago under the moniker Fight, and it's something I eventually will return to, but that's why I can use this song, because I own it. It's my music. Then I have the standard channel outro display. So I just keep the folder open in a separate tab, and then I also have things organized inside of the drive where I've got videos separated out, and then I have some raw video storage here. Sometimes I will drop raw videos in there, but if it's something that I know I'm taking to production, I will usually just number it and set it into its designated folder. And I have a kind of an intelligent numbering system where I've got the year code and then the number of that year that helps me get organized. And then I will open that up, and then I just drop it in the raw folder. And so I've got all my stuff laid out, and then what I do is I drag these. You can see I've already dragged it in, but I drag these into CapCut after I create the new project inside of CapCut. In fact, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. So we're going to go back from CapCut, and I'm just going to delete what I just started because I haven't done any work on it yet. Create project. So you saw me click that create project button. I'm going to name it to match the name of the folder. So DKCB, that's Dead King Collection Business. Long, because it's a long video, not a short. 26-034. So this is the 34th video of 2026. And then I just click off of that so that it saves that name. And then I'm on Mac, so I've got the active corners and stuff set up. But I pull up these windows and I drag in my raw footage, and I drag in my ending assets. If I had a screen recording like what I'm doing right now, I would also pull the screen recording into the raw folder and put that all in there. And so then none of these files ever need to move again. So in the future, if I want to do maintenance on the files, or if I want to extract shorts from these video files, I can come back in and the stuff will still be stored in the same place so CapCut can find it. And then what I also do is I duplicate this infrastructure in Google Drive. And so if I need to free up the storage on the hard drive, then the same exact infrastructure is reflected inside Google Drive, so I can download stuff to its corresponding folder in the hard drive, so that then CapCut will still know where to find it because it remembers from when I made the original video. So that's why I set things up this way, drag things in. Okay, so now I've got a blank slate here. There's a lot of customization you can do in here. I always turn these things on. Turn off main track magnet. I don't even remember why I turn this on, but I do have it always turned on. Or no, I have it turned on. That's what that means. Yeah, so main track magnet is turned on. I'll just show you what it looks like if you don't have that, I guess. I drag this stuff in, just place it somewhere so it's on the timeline. And over here on the right, I've got the zoom feature. And again, I'm inside CapCut right now. So I always extend this out a little bit. You've got a track zoom here. It zooms in where your cursor is, where your marker is. So I just move that to the area that I want to zoom into. so I can scroll easier. So turn off main track, or turn on main track magnet. Maybe that allows, yeah, okay. So main track magnet, if I have it on, then what it does is it on the main track, so you lay your stuff out according to tracks on your main track, which is the main video display track, and it's where it pulls the main audio from. If you turn the magnet on, then if you turn the magnet off, then you can have a gap in the middle of the video. And so if you want to avoid accidentally having like a gap between two sections, the best way to avoid that is to turn on the main track magnet. And you can see that that zipped those back together so that I don't have dead space on accident in the video if I happen to not notice it in like a long edit. Auto snapping, so you can turn that on and off. So if I have that turned off, I'm just going to duplicate this. So I'm going to Control or Command V, Command C, Command V. So this is, there's a term called B-roll. B-roll is something that you overlay on top of the primary track. So when you're watching this video that I'm making right now, you will see the screen displayed over the main track. It will look like this. Basically, I'll have a video file of the screen recording laid on top of the main track. And so you can see here, the background here, this is the A roll. And then what's laid on top is the B roll. So my screen recordings will be B roll, and any images or text, stuff like that, overlays, that's B roll that overlays on top of the main roll. And so you'll see layers of B roll in the video you're watching, which would be the screen recording that you'll see and the little window in the bottom corner of me that you'll still be able to see. Those will be laid on top of the main A-roll track, but I'm just going to delete these for now. Oh, the reason I was showing you that was for auto snapping. So auto snapping, if I want to drag this in and I want to synchronize it with like the end, I want this B-roll to end where this piece of A-roll ends, then it can be tough to match that up. I got to zoom in and try to get it perfect. I don't have to do any of that if I turn on snapping, because now it has that little blue line there. It snaps into place. I can either synchronize the beginning of it or the end, snap it right into place. So that's what snapping does. And link magnet, so what happens here is if I link elements, if I turn off linkage, then I can delete a piece of A-roll and the B and other tracks will remain where they were. Sometimes that is helpful during editing. Sometimes though, I want to be able to delete the main track and have everything else around it attached to it delete as well. And that's if I just want to clear out entire sections. So if I delete now, because I have linkage turned on, both the A roll and the B roll, and if I had had audio there, so let's say I connect this in here. So these are all synchronized to be part of one section. If I turn linkage off, I can delete the A roll and the audio track, and the image that I have here will play together. And so I'll show you what that looks like. Generally, the space bar is going to be the play button.
Hustling. Keep pursuing your dream.
And so you can hear that music playing over it. So that's without the A roll there. Now, if I turn on linkage, so I undid that, so now this A roll is back in there. Now linkage is turned on. If I click this and I delete the A roll, it deletes everything else because I had linkage turned on. So those are the three things that I generally, I toggle these on and off as I need. For now, I'll just keep it on and go get into the actual editing flow. A few shortcuts you're going to want to memorize. I'm on Mac, so you'll want to translate this to an equivalent on Windows if you're using Windows. To split a track, let's say I want to break this into two pieces. there's a split feature up here, so I can split that, and now I can delete this. So that splits a track, and that works on any type of track. It works on audio, it works on B-roll, it works anywhere. So that's how you would split a track. And then I can Command Z, Command V, C, Command V. You have all your regular copy paste and stuff like that. But the shortcut to split a track, that's going to help you out a lot. For me on Mac is Command B, and it splits that track. So I don't know for certain that I want to split it there. I probably do. When I'm filming, I try to build signals into the track to notify me during editing, stuff I want to do. So if I know I want to cut something out, a signal that I will kind of give to myself in the editing to make the editing process easier is I will go silent for several seconds, because then when I'm analyzing the track in the editor, I'll see a gap. You can see this is the waveform down here, or the the audio data. You can see the silences, and so I've got long silences up here. To me, that's a sign that I'm going to cut those parts out.
Hello, friends and foes.
So, like a bad intro here.
Hello, friends and foes. Hello, friends and foes.
So you can see it takes me a while to get into the zone. I know once I get into the zone, I just start flowing. But
first, the key principle that I always come back to with business stuff.
I'm trying to remember the exact, if I ended up restarting in this video or not.
And those two things, values and value.
I think that is right about where I started.
The values that.
So
says,
yeah, gonna make the.
So I want.
So I find the beginning basically.
Key principle.
Okay, I think I'm near the beginning.
First.
My customary greeting, hello friends and foes, that not only works as a signal to you, then a reminder, and it's like a brand thing, but also it signals to me in the editing process where the beginning of the video is. It makes it very easy for me to find the beginning of the video in case I'm editing this and I don't remember the details, if it's been a while since I shot it.
For your TCG business. Hello, friends and foes.
So, hello friends and foes is a signal to me, and if I ever outsource this to an editor, it would be a signal to them as well. So I'm just going to verify that the beginning is clean. How I have started to build my channel is that I adopted the YAP format to make the editing easier. So what you're going to notice is that I'm not going to play back this whole video for this editing process, because it takes too much time and it holds me back from putting out the volume of videos that I want to put out. You got to figure out what's right for you, but that's why I have spent so much time, invested so much time into trying to nail this YAP format. I'm not perfect, but it seems to be doing the trick, and it definitely streamlines the editing process for me so that I can spend more time on the actual creative process, like actually shooting the content, because that's, if I don't have content created, I have nothing to edit. And if the editing process drags me down too much, I can't hit the volume that I need to speed run this monetization the way that I'm trying to do it. Okay, so we're going to dive in. I am going to play back enough of this video to just to gauge that this is the start. So we're just going to play a couple seconds here.
Hello, friends and foes. Let's talk about building a brand for your TCG business. First, the key principle that I always come back to.
Yeah, I think that's the beginning. So then what I do, I make a couple changes pretty much right away. I generally from this point go into, I'm going to delete this B-roll. I generally from this point go to the end, and I click my audio track, and I click normalize loudness. And the reason I do that is that, so you saw it removes a lot of these peaks and valleys so that the delivery of the track is a little bit more clean. So I click normalize loudness, and then I reduce the volume of the music track to usually -3 or -4. It depends on what type of video I'm working on. And I do that first because then I also apply loudness normalization to the main audio track of the video, and that takes more time. So you can see it's processing. So it processes the short song very quickly, but then it takes some time to process the normalization on the longer track. So I let that run while I then move on to the next task. And so the next thing I do is some adjustments. I don't get fancy with this. This is why I pay for CapCut Pro. Normalizing loudness is a paid feature inside of CapCut, and auto adjust is a paid feature inside CapCut, and you'll see here that already just makes it look a lot better. I can adjust a slider to see the intensity of the auto adjustment. I might take this to, I'll increase my screen brightness. I don't think there's any reason not to take this to like at least 90. So I don't want to totally blow out the background, but with my style of content, the visual is not terribly important because odds are pretty good. Even with this tutorial video, there's a good chance a lot of you are not watching right now. You're just listening and like absorbing the information. So you don't care what I look like. I also sometimes will apply color correction if it makes it look better. If I look at it and it seems like it makes it look worse, I don't use it. I don't usually do it at the intensity it recommends. I usually reduce that slider down, but you can see I look a little bit less like a vampire, which is cool. For these videos that I shot here, I want to be larger in the frame, just so it's not like a big empty screen. So I actually make myself, I zoom in for this particular format that I shot a bunch of videos in this chair in the other room when my cat was sick. And so you have a couple ways that you can do that. You can drag and like actually use this viewer here, or you can adjust scale, the size of the video with this slider. I think it was at 129. 135 seems like it'll work. I just make sure I'm fully in the viewfinder, and you can also adjust your position. So Y is vertical, so it's pushed up or pushed that way, and you can see as I move this around, the position changes along the two axes. So the x-axis has me at -40, and the y-axis has me at 374. That's useful when you're trying to line up cuts or line up videos, especially when you're working with B-roll and stuff like that. So you can modify position this way. So if I put Y550, it moves me down. If I put it back to 374, it puts me back where I was. And you can see there's snapping enabled inside this view window as well. And I can do the same thing with the x-axis. You can do it with rotation. You can set it manually like that. There's a lot of stuff in here. I'm not going to go through it all, but there's a lot of tools in here that can help you out a ton. So I did the auto adjust, I applied loudness normalization, and I made the video a little bit bigger. Okay, so for my Yap style videos, I don't edit the middle at all. I completely ignore it. So I'm literally just, now that I cut off the garbage from the beginning, I'm going to scroll to the end, and I'm just going to work on lining up the music track. So
keep up the good work. Peace.
Okay. What I do, I find a little section of the music that I want to play at the end. Generally, I can see on the waveform roughly where I want to show. And then we're going to go ahead and play it. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. And I just figure out how much of the song do I want to play for the outro. And I try to play like a whole phrase. So I'm going to end the track right around here. like right on that final beat. And the more you zoom in, the more detailed you can get about where you make the cut. So I'll delete the rest of that. So that's the amount that I want to play. And then I usually do a little bit of a fade in. So I do an overlap. What I've been doing is on the, when I am saying farewell,
Good work. Peace.
so I kick in the music basically right before I say peace. And then right here at the end, when it turns into that double arrow, that's a fade in. You can also adjust it up here. So if you watch up here, I can adjust that fade in either down here or with the sliders. So I have it fade in, and then I try to have the beat kick in right at the transition. Okay, so beat kicks in right here. So I just line that up with the split. Reduce the amount, so you can adjust the length of the track with this other taller double arrow thing. And I overlap where I say peace, which I can see right here in the audio file or in the audio display. And so I play that.
Peace.
It kicks in. And then I'm going to reduce the length of that fade in. So,
Peace.
yeah, so that's good. And so that's pretty much just what I do with that. And then I adjust, I'll play it back, make sure I actually want it to be this long. I don't want it to be that long. So I'm actually going to cut it right there. And so I'm going to split this too so that they're even. Delete that, zoom out. And I know because I have the magnet on that there's going to be no gaps, everything's clean. And so then I've been adding a transition. Again, I have the Pro, so there might be some, yeah, the one I use is Pro only. I have a couple favorites selected, so if I just go to the transitions tab, there's a bunch in here. It's not well organized, you kind of got to dig for stuff, but once you find a few, you can mark the star right here, and then it'll show up in your favorites. And then I just usually reuse the same handful of transitions. And you can change how long it is. This transition looks best if it's if it's longer than a second. And so I'll zoom in, you can see what that looks like overlaid there. That white cross-hatching is the transition frames.
Good work.
And so then you can see it adds that transition there. A little bit, makes it a little bit spicy. So that's cool. Okay, next, I have been adding a little bit of text. So I just do default text. I don't even change anything. I just keep it super bonehead simple, and I just add my website in the corner because these videos are a demand generation play. I want people to visit my website and start buying things from me over time, and that means they need to be able to memorize my website. So the more times that I can make impressions on them where I'm putting the actual title of the website in front of them, either visually or audibly by saying it, then the more likely that later when they're thinking about it and they're like, maybe I'll go check them out, they already remember what they have to type into the search bar, www.getdkc.com. So that's why I do this here. It doesn't detract from the viewing experience, in my opinion. And like I said before, most of you probably are watching with the screen off or with the video playing in a different tab anyway, and you're just listening to me. And then, so I just adjust sizing. You can adjust the size here, you can adjust it here. There's a lot of adjustments that you can make in here. I'm not going to go through them all. And then I just add a background and I make it the tighter fit. And that's what it looks like. Stands out, white text, black background, bonehead simple, like I said. And then I take this text and I just extend it. So this is B-roll, technically. It's not covering the whole thing, but it would be placed like B-roll. It's an overlay. And then I just spread it across the whole thing, and I just have it end before the final screen. And I use the snapping feature to make sure I line up with the end of the main thing. And even maybe before the transition. So here's what it looks like. So yeah, it all kind of blends together. So that's perfect. So it's there the whole time when I need it, and then it's not there when I don't need it. Okay, now the next thing I do is, so I'm going to generate captions too, but I'm going to show you how I do this because generating the captions takes time and I'm trying to save time. So what I will do is now that the video is basically done, like I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to edit the video. So I've made all the changes I'm going to make to this video. So what I will do is you've got these visibility things. I will turn off the text. So I hide the track so that disappears. And then up here, these 3 lines, you can actually export still frame. So I can select a still frame. And then this is how I make the thumbnails. I literally just find a still frame. Generally, that I want to find something that's going to be a little bit of a pattern break. So something like I intentionally took a frame for one of my videos that showed me looking really sleepy because I was really sleepy because I was recording a video at about 1 a.m. and I put that in the thumbnail because it's just like that is kind of the vibe of the video is like I'm hustling, I'm pushing myself because I am ambitious, and that was kind of the theme of the video, so I put that in there. I just kind of show myself, this is just how I simplify it. My thumbnail, my click-through rate it's pretty high. Even it is a small sample size, but I'm pretty consistently hitting between 8 and 15% click-through rate. And then when it pushes me out to a broader audience, I'm usually between 4 and 7%. So that's a pretty high click-through rate. So this has been working, and it's because it captures, instead of being this fabricated thing, that this hyper-contrived thing that has all the, like, looks like AI made it and everything like that, it shows it's an actual person in the middle of an actual conversation. And I think that catches people's attention. And then I implement some elements to break the pattern, like me being sleepy, or generally I try to capture a gesticulation of some kind. There's certain things in the human psyche that are going to catch more attention more effectively. Hands are where the danger lives. Like if you are in the wild, if you're a human in the wild dealing with other humans in the wild, you're always going to be monitoring their hands, because hands are going to be the first signal that you're usually going to get of danger. So I always try to put hands in the thumbnail if I can. And I try to put face and eyes, and I try to catch me in the middle of saying something unless I have a reason not to do that, like I expressed in the other thing. So those are sort of just 3 basic vibes that I go by. I want face visible, I want hands visible, and I want to be in the middle of saying something and gesticulating. So I just zoom out and find a couple things that look decent. So like, and then because you may have noticed, I try to do a little bit of an overlap with the text. I'll try to also have that in mind. So I want the top of my head to overlay the black bar that I put at the top of the thumbnail, which I'll show you in a minute. And then ideally, if I can also have my hand overlapping some elements, I like to be able to do that. So I just find something with a decent mouth position and hand position that doesn't make me look like an ape. So it just takes a little bit of filtering. Something that signifies something of interest. So like, that's like a genuine, that's a genuine hand gesture and everything there, that like it's not sensational, it's not trying to be overly bombastic or anything like that. So that's a good one. So I will click the 3 lines and I will export still frame. This, I have it set up to go straight to the HD downloads folder that I showed you earlier. And HD is hard drive. Hard drive downloads is what that means. So I just export that. It exports immediately. And then I just grab a couple more to give myself some options. So go through. That's decent. I think I like that too. So it's just 3 examples of how I pick. So once I have those exported, now I know I can take those, I can import those into Canva and start working on those. So now that that part's done, I go to Captions here at the top. Captions is also a, I believe it's Pro only. Yeah, it is. So then I just click Generate, and I let that start running while I go over to Canva, and I just open my recent file. I've got a whole thumbnails file, and you can see I've built all sorts of stuff in here. That's just something I do for myself. I usually duplicate it, so I copy over the essential elements. It speeds me up a little bit. Delete the old stuff. Go to uploads, upload files, HD downloads. So I've got these 3 images here. I'll upload all 3 of them so I can see them clearly. And so between all of these, I'm going to go with this one. And here, again, I just click the auto adjust button. Brightens me up a little bit. I like to be a little bit brighter in the thumbnail than I am in the video. And so then I just kind of get my placement set. And here we go. Get the sizing right. That'll do. I might even go larger. I do some adjustment depending on what the text is going to be. And sometimes I'll take some stuff off the edge just to make it easier to work with. Just sort of, for me, this is largely a matter of preference. But I just kind of workshop it until I get it where I want. I duplicate it. So that's Command D is what I press. But you could also, let me see, right click or 2-finger click, duplicate. So the shortcut is Command D. Duplicate, line it up. It's got snapping. So the solid line snaps to the actual size of, so this is the actual middle of the file. So this is the dead center, horizontal and vertical, of the thumbnail frame that I'm working in. The dotted line there is centering with whatever element is right behind it, or like whatever element you're intersecting with. And so what I do is try to line it up. Sometimes it can be a challenge though. So here, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to shrink this to be exactly the same size as the frame that I'm working in. Duplicate it again so that I can easily center it and know it's in the center. And then the reason I do 2, I duplicate, this is something an idea I stole from Brian at PokeNE. The back layer, I put all the way to the back. So you have a couple ways you can do that. You can do position, and you can center it in horizontally or vertically, and you can also move forward and backward. And then I also use keyboard shortcuts. So Command and then reverse bracket puts it all the way in the back. And then here, I just click Background Remover. And this removes the background, and then I modify it with the eraser. So there's still some elements in here that need to be removed. So I zoom in, remove the stuff that needs to be removed. It takes a minute, but it's worth it, in my opinion, to get a good thumbnail. And you can both erase and restore stuff. So I can add stuff back into the thumbnail, and I can remove stuff from the image. And you can either omit the background image, or keep it on. So I'm going to increase my size here, rough out the stuff that I want to remove. And then eventually I'll decrease the brush size and put on the finishing touches. Zoom in more. Sometimes I don't need to do the eraser. Sometimes the background remover works without a problem. It just depends on the lighting and the background and stuff like that. And it's getting better and better. Canva didn't used to have this feature. I used to have to export it to my iPad and use a tool called Procreate, which is funny, and then erase the background that way. So this is way faster. And I'm on a trackpad, which makes, in some ways, makes editing easier instead of using a mouse, but you can figure it out. I believe in you. Not all of this. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just delete the edges, erase the edges, clean it up enough to then do the white outline thing that you've seen all sorts of creators do, not just me. I try to zoom in, make sure there's no leftover artifacts. And so I usually turn off the original while I'm doing the initial erasing, just so I can see the differences and like see the edge clearly. And then what I'll do in a minute is I'll turn the original back on and verify that there's nothing I want to add back in. Because sometimes if I erase a little bit too much, I won't notice until I turn the original back on. Like I just erased, I think, a little bit too much of my beard there. So I'll add that back in. I think I can take that out. So I just check and make sure nothing seems like it's missing. I think that's just arm hair there, so I can leave that out. Yeah, I erased some shoulder here, so I'm going to add that back in. Otherwise, I think this looks good. Yeah. So remove the background. And so now you can see I've got the actual background there, and then I have me overlapping on top of the text box that I put at the top. The next thing I do here is I click the background image, and I click Edit, and then in Tools, See All, Blur, Whole Image, 10%. So now the background is a little bit blurred. I am in clear definition. Sometimes I will even further increase the brightness just of me, and maybe reduce the contrast or increase it, just adjust it a little bit more so I stand out. And then I will click on the I'll click on the foreground, so the cutout, click Edit, scroll down, Shadows, See All, Outline, and then in here I can modify it. So I usually set the size to 10, set the color to white, and intensity to 100. You've got various things that you can do with that, but then that gives me that outline that you often see in people. And to make things easier, I will just reduce the cropping of the foreground image so I can work around it. And then you can see here, it's a little silly down here, so I just increase the size of the image. I select both the foreground and background together, increase until it cuts off that bottom white line so it looks clean, adjust to make sure I'm in the middle where I want to be, and so that's pretty good. So you can see thumbnails coming along. This video is about branding. So I'm going to call it powerful branding. I might even say branding psychology. Because that is the theme of this video that I'm working on. So in the thumbnail, basically your title and your thumbnail combine to paint a picture of what is your video going to be about and why should someone even click on it. So I try to include information in the thumbnail that is not necessarily in the title, and I go back and forth between, I workshop both together so that together they work as cohesive packaging to communicate an idea and a reason why someone should click the video. And I want to integrate things about, I want to integrate a certain degree of familiarity and a certain degree of novelty. So I'm a small channel, so most people will not have heard of me yet, which means, so I'm going to increase the size here so you can see there was a little bit of a, sometimes you got to adjust the sizing a little bit to make things look good. So I'm actually increasing the size of the foreground. Yeah, so I'm trying to combine novelty and familiarity. A lot of people don't know me, don't recognize me, and so just seeing me on the thumbnail is not going to be enough, but the fact that it's a human face and human hands and stuff like that, that gives me, and it looks like it's in a real place and time, that works a little bit in my advantage when I'm fighting uphill for attention because I'm not recognized yet. Then something like branding psychology, that's unique. That's going to break the pattern. So a pattern break is when someone's scrolling through and sees something arresting that is, it arrests their attention and is impossible for them to ignore. Something like this, in the search display, in the search results where this video is likely to pop up, a video of a dude with the words branding psychology, it creates a curiosity loop, and there's a certain authority signal in there compared to like TCG business tips. You know, if I just put TCG business tips at the top, that's more of a commodity piece of content. But branding psychology framed inside of a TCG business video, which I'm going to make sure in the title, one of the things that they will see is the word TCG business. So in one single impression, they're going to see TCG business and branding psychology all together, but I don't have to use the title for all of that information. So branding psychology, I think that's probably the direction I'll go with this. And yeah, I just use a bright color on black background for that top piece. The reason I don't put the text at the bottom is because when you go to YouTube, the channel, the way that the videos display in the feed, it overlays a time thing on top of the bottom right corner that often will cut off or obscure text or elements that are under it. So if we go to my channel, so this, you can see it in the bottom corner right next to my cursor. That, when the video gets sized down, so like down here, you can see I've got new levels, new devils at the bottom of the thumbnail. What I realize is that I'm losing a lot of the part of the power of the thumbnail because it's covered by that timestamp. So that's why I started moving all my stuff to the top, and I started using bright colors to stand out, because bright colors in nature are a danger signal as well. Yeah, so let's go back over here. I think this thumbnail, it's good enough for now. What I've been doing is integrating a Reddit element, and I just find a couple posts that might make good screenshots. All right, I am going to grab this, and then we'll go in here, and I will import that through uploads. That usually lands on my desktop. Make it a little bit smaller. I don't want it to get covered by the timestamp that's going to be over here. So, sometimes I'll put it where my head overlays on top of it. It just depends on how the thumbnail's laid out. Here, I think I'm going to put it like right in the middle. I think that'll work. Maybe right here. And all of this is public, the usernames and stuff like that, but I just add a little bit of a cover for the username usually. And I make it red because it just adds more color to the thumbnail. So yeah, I think that's a decent thumbnail. Now I have I've got captions generated, so I don't leave these on the video, but what I do, now that it has generated captions, I export the caption file. And so it creates an SRT file. So I export this. And then I download the thumbnail. Then I go to Claude. Then I turn off the captions so that they don't display on the final video. And now I just start exporting the video, because I know I'm going to use this video, and I know the next step is Claude. So I save my download, and I start exporting the video. So I turn off the captions, check the video box, make sure everything looks good, 2K, all that. And I export the video. So this takes a while. So then I just get to work on the Claude part. And so then from my HD downloads, I've got my thumbnail and my transcript form, and it's currently downloading the final video. I drag these into the Claude chat. So what I have done is I've created a project inside Claude, and I've created a chat inside Claude, where I gave this set of instructions. Can you please take this transcript and turn it into a keyword-rich YouTube description and chapter markers? ICP, so the ideal customer persona is what that means, and Claude is smart enough to know what that means, is TCG business owners, from total newbies to seasoned pros. Formatting notes, total output 4,000 characters or less. Line break after every chapter for easy copy and paste. Human readable description blurb followed by a topics covered section optimized for machines, followed by the chapters section. Please also provide some thoughts on strengths and weaknesses in the chat. That's what I do. This is a new chat. I usually use an old chat, but I wanted to show the prompting, the everything, and the troubleshooting. So I'm probably going to need to do some troubleshooting before I take the final export, but then I give it the caption file. So this is a full transcript with timestamps, so it can use this to generate chapters. And then this is the thumbnail, so it has all this information. And what I'm actually going to do is update the character limit to 3,500, because I'm starting to add more calls to action inside my descriptions, and I don't want to have to re-edit the output. So this usually takes a couple minutes as well. So it's exporting, and it's generating this stuff, and I usually use this time to just do some other stuff. And yeah, so it generated a file for me. And generated some chapters. I'll briefly kind of look over this for, like, sometimes it spells Pokemon names wrong, stuff like that. Scanning it, it looks okay. All right, so that's good. Strengths and weaknesses, dense, teachable, rather than vague. Name logo section has concrete, actionable rules. Self-referential proof, makes it credible rather than theoretical. Good breadth across the full ICP. Weaknesses, very stream of consciousness. Yeah, I'm aware. Lots of repeating yourself. Yeah, that's kind of my format. It's part of teaching. No visual pacing cues. Yeah, no B-roll, stuff like that. So that's all stuff I'm aware of. These are trade-offs that I'm willing to accept. Ends abruptly with fatigue showing. Fine for authenticity. The CTA announcements section feels tacked on rather than integrated. Yeah, that's fine. No clear title given, so I inferred branding psychology from the thumbnail text for the description's tone. Confirm matches your actual video for keyword alignment. I guess I'll actually read the... I don't always do this. Branding isn't just a logo, it's psychology. Exact framework. Defensible, memorable brand, trading card business, pick a name that's actually searchable, color and logo psychology. So I want to... The main goal of the description isn't necessarily to totally describe the video, it's to tell the machine and the algorithm what the video is about, and to integrate potential search terms that can help the video populate in search results across YouTube and Google. So that's why I have this topics covered section here. Email marketing for e-commerce, Discord community building, TCG reseller tips, stuff like that. That's all stuff, search phrases people might put into something, or search concepts that Google can connect specific search terms to. So that's why I do this. And the chapters just make it a little bit more viewable and a little bit more searchable as well. So that's why I do all that. We are 73% done on the export here, so it takes a while. It's slower because I export it to the external hard drive, but overall I just prefer that. Yeah, now it's just waiting. So I guess this is a section I'm going to go silent here, and then in the video editor I'll see that silence, and it'll be a cue for me to investigate and see why I was silent, and then I'll know that I need to make a cut here because I'm just waiting and I don't have anything to say. Let's workshop a title. So a title can be up to 100 characters. And so this one is, I'll show you my workflow for like channel ideas and stuff. So I have a personal Discord server that I use to keep myself organized, that I use for my own project management. I'm the only person on the server, and it's just a bunch of different chat rooms and stuff like that where I track ideas, track progress and stuff. It's just project management for myself. And so I've got several different things in here. This is for Dead King Collection video topics. I've got tags in it where it's for a short or for a long, for business, for collecting. And this video that I'm working on is branding, build a brand for TCG business. Yeah, so often when I log the idea in Discord, I have my notes here. So you'll see in the video I'm editing right now, when it publishes in that video, I'm checking my phone because my notes are on my phone. I just leave that in. I don't feel the need to pretend that I memorized everything. So I'm checking my phone and I'm looking at this Discord post with the notes for myself. And so then I just come back to it and copy the title right here. So that's going to be about, I don't know what the character limit is in Discord. I imagine it's around 100. And so this is the title that I'll use, or some variation of this. I'm actually going to send this to Claude. Intended title. Thoughts. And how I built this title, build a brand for a TCG business, how to build a brand for a new trading card business. For titles, I use a hook and tail structure. So the hook is before this vertical pipe split thing. The hook is directed to people, and it's meant to be clickable for the target viewer of the video. And I make it short because you're only going to get so many words to display in the various places that it displays. So it's like how to actually make money selling Pokemon cards. I keep it short, and that's before that vertical pipe. And so you can see this is across all the videos on my channel. The hook, the pipe, and then the tail. And so 6 books to blow up your TCG business. And so then in various places that it might display where it truncates at different places, the hook should always be visible in its entirety. All of the juice, the thing that's going to attract the human is in the hook, front loaded, and all of it is visible. Full sort switch chaos sorting tutorial. And you can see, because different locations display it, different amounts of information. You can see here, hopefully, that some of the titles get cut off in the feed. And if I go into a video, like here's Bronze God, go into this Bronze God video, and you can see in the recommendations below it, you only get a certain amount of the title that displays. I want that title to compress the reason that the human needs to click. And then the tail is written for the machine. And the tail is meant to be it's meant to be close to a phrase. Okay, so CapCut's done. It's meant to be close to a phrase that a person will actually type into the search bar, so that then the algorithm can match to either that exact phrase or phrases that have a similar type of intent. How to build a brand for a new trading card business. So if somebody types that in, there's a good chance that this video will display high up in the search results. This is called search engine optimization. Also, if someone types in how to grow my trading card business, there's a good chance that because this is a similar type of intent in this search term, there's a good chance that this video will populate in those search results as well. Yeah, so that's titles. CapCut is done. So now I can actually start uploading the video. So inside the YouTube dashboard, I click Create, Upload Videos, and actually usually I will file everything appropriately before this part. So I leave the raw folder inside my permanent storage, and then in my downloads folder, I drag in only the essential things. So I drag in the original image that I used for the thumbnail, which I'm pretty sure is this one because it's not these two. So I'll delete those so they're not a distraction. I drag in the original image I used for the thumbnail so I can do it again if I need to, or I can make it again if I need to. I drag the transcript. I drag the actual final thumbnail, and I drag the final video. All of those go into the project folder. Then inside YouTube, I go to the project folder and start uploading the video. I have my upload defaults set, so I can show you that while I'm working on it. In settings, I have upload defaults set to automatically assign a category, assign it. So a lot of these fields autofill so that they're not empty. That just gives YouTube more information. And so I have certain elements that automatically generate into my YouTube descriptions with every upload. So the outro music is always the same track. It's that song that I made. The tail here, this is something I learned from my main business. I put just raw information about my business to help Google understand my business. And then in the long run, when I create a Google business profile and start building a local business infrastructure, and even in the long run, maybe open an actual physical location, Google will have hundreds of videos that have this specific information about me and my business to then possibly connect algorithmically and organically my Google business profile to the videos that I post on YouTube. So that's what that is. It helps with SEO and it helps the platforms understand my brand, so that in the future, if people look for me or the things that I do, it makes it more likely that they will find me. So that's in the footer of every YouTube description. At the top, I always have my call to action. So the first thing in the description that guarantees people see it is my call to action, the action that I want them to take, which is to visit my website and buy trading cards. You, right now, I want you to make a mental note to visit my website and buy some trading cards. Then I leave a gap for me to recommend a video that's on a similar topic. And then important notes, these are more of a demand generation thing. Most people aren't going to see these, but I want to get distribution and I want to start planting that seed. So I am telling people, hey, I want distribution for Sorcery, Union Arena, Kayou, CyberCel, VaultX, BCW, Ultra Pro, and Obsidian Supplies. So that's Rob's accessories and supplies and protection brand for trading cards. If you're looking for wholesale customers to purchase these items, let's connect. So that's always in the video. I want to support indie TCGs. If you're building a TCG and are interested in a brand partnership, let's chat. I want to support Kickstarters. I want to support like weird oddball stuff. I love creativity. That's why I'm in this business, is that I love the creativity expressed through trading cards as an artistic artifact. So that is a legitimate call out. I want to talk with indie TCG creators. And then, of course, I would love to eventually get on the same page with what Rudy's building at PCG. And so I say, if I want to support the great card grading revolution, if you're fighting back against the goliaths of the card grading industry, let's talk. I believe in PCG. I believe in Rudy. And in the long run, I'd love to be able to help support that. So that's another legitimate thing that I just put in there to plant the seed. And then just, if you want to reach me, fill out the contact form. Then I put space for me to actually paste in the description. So all of this automatically generates into every video. So now let's go to the upcoming upload. This is going to take it's going to take an hour for me to upload this because it's 40 minutes long and I have poor internet. But what I will do now is paste in the information generated by Claude, which is in this text file. So I paste in the description, add a divider, paste in the chapters, and then I will paste in the title, which I will pull from Discord. And then I will add the thumbnail. I upload it to specific curated playlists. Adding it to playlists puts it in another spot in YouTube, which helps SEO because there's multiple link paths that you can follow to get to the video. And so that increases the surface area of the video. So I always put it in some of my playlists. It also just makes the channel more user-friendly for people that visit my channel, and therefore increases my overall watch time because people can easily find stuff related to what they're looking for. So this is, I'm going to put this in tutorials, TCG business education. And what I think I'll also do is tutorials, TCG, YouTube channel growth. So this puts it inside a container that gives YouTube more information about who it should recommend the video to. So that's why also another reason why I do the playlist. So it's in business education, TCG business education, and YouTube channel growth. So I put it in both of those playlists. And then I add a recommended video. So I will close this again briefly, look back at previous content. This is branding and YouTube stuff. So I'm going to link my other video about YouTube demand generation, how I'm building a YouTube channel. So I pull the shareable link, go back to the upload, and you might also like this video. So that's all that. Go down in here. I've got it set to default that it's not made for kids. Expand this. Everything here is pre-filled except for the AI use. So I say no. AI was not used to make a real person appear to say or do something they didn't do, or to alter footage of a real event, or to generate a realistic looking scene that didn't actually occur. No, I did not use AI for any of that stuff. Everything else here is already pre-filled. Tags, I have those in upload defaults set up in there. Not that they matter a ton, but I just have it set up in there. And then I have a standard end screen. I just made an end screen and I just import it from the last long form upload. And this end screen has the most recent upload, always gets some promotion on my end screens if somebody's going to binge. The best recommendation for that viewer based on how the algorithm understands that viewer. And then also I want to drive demand and drive viewers deep into my chalkboard lectures, because that's where I'm going to build. Anyone who watches those videos, those are the people I'm going to build the deepest relationship with. So I always feature that playlist as well. And then in the bottom corner, a place to subscribe to the channel. I always overlay those 4 elements on the end screen, click save. Then I just click next. So this is where it does the copyright check. Now, I don't use copyrighted sounds or footage or anything like that. These are just talking head yap videos with a song at the end that I personally created and own. So I don't worry about the copyright check here. On other stuff where I am using some of those elements, I always do want to see if the copyright clears before I publish the video, because I can always change stuff in the video editing to correct that if I need to. Then next I do visibility. I've just been publishing everything basically the next day at midnight. So this will go out in a couple hours. And click schedule. So let me check my notes on this video. That is, I believe, the full overview that I wanted to give for how I create YouTube videos. Yeah, topic selection, title, thumbnail, description, and chapters. The only thing I didn't mention, I guess, is topic selection. The way that I choose my topics. So packaging is topic, title, thumbnail, and in my opinion, description, because the description tells the machine what the video is about. So those 4 elements are in your packaging: topic, title, thumbnail, description. I've shown you title, thumbnail, and description. Topic selection is very important. I have built this channel around a specific viewer. And so when I select topics to make for this channel, I always know who is the person that I want to watch the video. And I always want to be consistent with the rest of the channel. So I don't just have a target viewer for any particular video. I have a specific type of person that this entire channel is built for. If you are still watching this video, like 90 minutes in, you are that person. You love trading cards, you love business, and you love personal growth and education and professional development. And so you're here to learn. And so I want everything that's available on this channel to be relevant to you and those specific interests. Learning how to build a collectibles business with like pretty high level usually type of stuff, or very tangible, actionable tutorials. That's kind of the combination of stuff that I want here. And I want this to be a predictable, useful resource for you. And so stuff I'm not going to cover on this channel is like basic collector content or any sort of like industry drama or creator drama or anything like that. I'm not going to touch any of that, because if you're watching this video and a lot of videos like it on my channel, you might not be into those. And then that would dilute the information that YouTube has about who it should serve my videos to. So I currently have 2 channels. This channel is all about the business side. I have a separate channel that's going to be exclusively targeting collectors. There's probably going to be, some of you will probably end up watching both channels, but not everybody who watches one channel is going to end up being interested in the other, and that's strategic. And then when I get into books and manga, I'm going to do separate channels for those as well, very likely. And so my topic selection is always going to align in each of these channels with what are the interests of the viewer, and does this topic align with the rest of the material that's on this channel, so that YouTube can make a confident decision about whether or not it should serve the video to certain people based on what they have previously watched and what they are actively searching for. So that's topic selection. Other things that you can think about in topic selection is like, what is the average number of people that this video is likely to be able to reach? Like how many people is it going to be relevant to? This channel is not meant to go viral. So I don't think about like, what is the view cap? What is the potential view cap on this? I don't mind if the total view cap of one of these videos is only like 1,000 people or something like that. Like, that's fine, because the depth of relationship I'm going to build with those 1,000 people makes it, like you, makes it much more likely that I'm going to sell something to them. And so my business is going to be able to make revenue off of that relationship. Either you'll buy some trading cards from me, or in the long run, when I launch a paid community, you'll join that paid community. Or if I launch any sort of educational assets or anything, if I do like Rob and I launch accessories or supplies or anything like that, like, there'll be that option. When I start selling books about like business content, I can sell those directly. So that's ways that I can monetize the work that I'm doing, and then make sure everything is still aligned with the core viewer. That was a lot. This has been a long video. I still have 1 hour and 11 minutes for this thing to upload. But let's go into announcements. Join the email list. I'm going to roll out giveaways after I reach 100 email subscribers. So get on that email list, and you can be one of the first ones eligible for one of the upcoming giveaways when those go live. Discord. The Discord is in beta. If you want to join the beta version of the Discord, go to my website, fill out the contact form at the bottom, and tell me, hey, I want to join the Discord. And right now, what I have active in the Discord is, I'll show you. I'm still recording my screen. So we've got normal welcome stuff like that. I've got it set up now where you can customize what you see by assigning yourself roles, so that if you want to talk about books and manga and collecting cards, you can. If you don't want to talk about that and you just want to talk about the business side, you can just see business related rooms or content creation and YouTube related rooms. Also specific rooms for eBay sellers, Mana Pool sellers, Shopify sellers, SortSwift users, TCG player sellers. I'll add Misprint and Card Trader in there eventually as well. And yeah, so it's getting to be pretty lively. There's like 10 or 12 people in here, and it's in beta, so you can only join if you ask for an invite. But most people who ask are allowed to come in. I just don't want bots coming in and stuff while I'm setting up the security features and stuff. So yeah, come in and check it out. I'm going to be launching an actual marketplace inside the server where you can buy, sell, trade, and give away, and self-promotion stuff and stuff like that inside as well. So if you're trying to build your business or trade or collect or buy or sell or like build your own channel and stuff like that, you'll be able to do that a little bit, get a little bit of help with that inside the server. So yeah, if you want to join, it's totally free. Just hit me up, send me an email. I can send you the link. You can be part of the beta test when this YouTube channel monetizes. After I actually unlock channel monetization, I will launch the Discord like fully publicly so that people can just join and click the link and all that. But right now it's still request and invite only. And last but not least, go to www.getdkc.com, buy some trading cards from me. And last but not least is keep hustling, keep pushing, keep believing, keep dreaming, because when you get better, the world gets better. Peace.